Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you another update. This is the 1977 Ford F100 truck. It's the Ranger trim level. A lot has happened since our last video that we shared with you. In our previous video we were talking about the trim and removing the trim off of the truck and the tail lights and fuel doors and things of that nature. There are still some components and trim on the truck. We continued and finished taking the trim off, and then we've got a lot of progress since then. So what we're doing, this is going to be a total custom build. You can see that the rear end and suspension's in a different location. We have this special air ride suspension kit that we purchased, and also a 4-link rear setup for the rear end. So it comes almost a virtually full kit, but there's always some components missing. So our reservoir tank is still in transit, but it's a really nice kit. There's lots of components that we started on. So basically we're just going to kind of do a brief walk around. You can see here on the floor we have our brackets. These are our original factory brackets, front and rear, for the leaf spring. So those were riveted onto the frame. And you can see we have our shackles and our original leaf springs here and our rear shocks, and then we have obviously our big U-bolts that wrapped around the springs and around the rear diff, and then the springs were mounted to the frame. With this airbag suspension kit, you remove obviously all of this factory mounting points, and then we change it so that we have this kit with this airbag. So rather than bouncing around, what we'll do is we'll just come over to this table, and then we'll share with you and our client who lives far away. This is most of the kit for the rear end, and then when we come around the front, I'll share with you the components at the front. So these two long bars, these are for our 4-link suspension, our 4-link setup, where we're going to tie in the rear of the differential to the frame of the truck so we can align it properly. This really nice kit comes with substantial brackets. The metal work is nicely bent. They're very close to the shape, but they're not exactly the same. So they're made basically a generic kit. It's made for this truck and this frame, but there's always adjustments and angles that we have to verify. So there will be some notching and some trimming and measuring that'll need to be done. But the nice thing with this kit is it's all really nice hardware. There are Heim joints on the ends to adjust these rear links where the cheaper kits don't have a way to adjust them. And then we have these very substantial brackets, heavy-duty brackets. So you can see we even have these half-moon brackets with hardware. And then these will just need to be beveled for the exact shape. We'll make a pattern and make sure that we have, before we weld those on to the rear end. We have these other brackets that are nicely made. You'll notice they're all bare steel. They're MIG welded very well. And then we're going to basically dry fit all of these components on, and then we'll continue the rest of the disassembly. And then we'll take the body off of the frame. The frame will go on a rotisserie, and with all of these mounting points and brackets welded to the frame, that's when we'll sandblast everything. And then when we go to paint, epoxy, and then paint the frame, all of these welded on brackets will look like it belongs with this frame on the truck. It won't look like it's been tacked on or added on later. You can see we also have these upper and lower brackets. They're made on a CNC machine. They're cut out, exceptional quality, and once again the thickness is correct. And we have for our upper and lower that goes between for our airbags. And then we have our heavy-duty airbags. So we have a pair of them for the rear, and then we have a pair of them for the front. So it'll give us quite a bit of travel. As we continue looking at the kit, we have a high polish compressor. We have a braided stainless line. We upgraded from a smaller 1/4-inch line to a 1/2-inch line. So our line is much larger, and then we have the larger fittings, and that will just make everything go quicker. So when you're raising and lowering the truck, having twice the airflow, everything will move much more rapidly than it would if it was just a 1/4 inch line. So we prefer to go with the upgraded 1/2 inch line and fittings. And then we have our controller box and the wiring kit and so on that comes with it. So that's the basically most of the kit. But what we don't have here is the big reservoir tank. It's a 5-pound tank and it's in transit, so we'll share with you when that arrives, because we'll find a nice custom location for the tank and the compressor. So now as we come back to the truck, so we're back to the 77 truck, and you can see basically what we've done underneath is we've wanted to get an idea of ride height. So we removed the rear fuel tank that was sitting in here. We removed the side tank that was over on that far side, and we wanted to basically open up the area. We removed the exhaust system, and I mentioned earlier we removed the leaf springs and all of the mounting points. So now what we did is we wanted to get the rear diff assembly as high or as close to the frame as we can. So we've done that. You can see there's basic mounts, and then we basically have it strapped in for now and just tack welded in. So that's going to give us an idea of where the back end could be, and we'll get back to that in a moment. So now as we come along this passenger side, we'll apologize, the hoist is in the way, a camera person hopefully will follow me along. So you can get an idea, see the wheel in the back, with the rear end being up higher, you can obviously see the ride height is probably, I would guess, roughly about 5 inches lower, 4.5 inches lower than the factory height right now. And then as we come to the front, we've done a great deal of work on the front and lots of progress. So basically we shared with you on the table where we had metal brackets and airbag for the rear suspension, and then we had some mounting points, some plates. This is the front kit. So you can see where we've cleaned everything up. Our suspension is basically dropped down because we have this twin I-beam that swivels. So we've got that out of our way. What we've done is we have this custom plate, which is part of the kit. The holes are never in the exact location, so we had to modify those a little bit. So we've marked it, this is the passenger and this is the front side. So we basically dry fitted this in. We've got grade 8 and higher hardware. We're going to end up welding this later on, but what we're doing right now is the dry fitting part. So where the mounting point, the factory mounting point with the rivets, as we showed you the plate on the floor, we've removed those, and then this goes in the other location. And then we have our heavy duty airbag here in the front, and then part of the kit is this other steel bracket, and it's nicely made too. You can see it's MIG welded in, and then this is our top mounting point, or sorry, it would be the bottom mounting point of the bag. So when this suspension, swivel suspension, comes into place, this plate will be fastened to the bag. So if I kind of step back with the light, hopefully it's not too much glare, you see that we have the main structure, it's bolted in place. We'll end up welding this in addition to the grade 8 bolts, so that'll be welded as part of the frame. Once it's painted, it's going to look like it's correct factory. We'll do the same thing with all of the other components. So right now we've kind of basically just kind of lined up or dry fitted where it should be, and then you can see on this passenger side, kind of boring, but it's the same idea. There's a couple of things that were in the way. You can see here, that's part of our inner fender. It's on the 77 Fords. They have a galvanized, and so what we did is we needed to measure and mark, and we trimmed it so we have clearance. The steering box is really close to the mount, but there is clearance for that, and you can see where we've made some modifications and some prep work for grinding. Before we do the welding, we want to make sure everything is clean, and then we have the correct hardware, and then these heavy duty plates for the bottom, and then once again that'll fasten to the airbag. So that's basically the kind of the dry fit part of the front. And then just to share with you, this is the original plate, the factory plate that was removed. There's an upper and a lower, so we've removed that upper part, and then we've removed the standard coil springs and obviously the shocks. So we're making lots of progress on this truck. So what we'll do in our next video is we'll have it down on the ground, and then we'll share with you what the ride height is now, and then what we're going to do in our next step. So this is the 77 Ford F100 truck. I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.